Hello and welcome to Drama Recaps. Today we're exploring the 2009 sports biographical drama, Invictus. Spoilers ahead. Nelson Mandela was finally set free from Victor Verster prison in 1990, after enduring 27 years of confinement. While his release was met with distaste from those harboring racial prejudices, who viewed him as a terrorist, it acted as a beacon of inspiration for the black population to intensify their fight for rights, bringing the country to the brink of civil war. Mandela appealed to the people, asking them to abandon their arms and work together for a better nation. Fast forward 4 years, and the black population finally gets the opportunity to vote, propelling Mandela into the presidency. Mandela's influential stature doesn't compromise his humility. He makes his own bed, and maintains his daily morning walk routine, now accompanied by 2 bodyguards. However, the white population expresses dissatisfaction, questioning his capacity to lead the country through media outlets. Among the dissenters are the parents of Francois, the national rugby team's captain. His father vocally expresses frustration over the perceived loss of his son's future prospects due to the black population now having a say in governance. On his inaugural day in office, Mandela observes an office fraught with tension and unease, with vacant desks and employees packing up, fearing a mass layoff targeting the white workforce. Mandela reassures everyone, explaining that no one will be let go based on their skin color or language. He demonstrates this unbiased approach by bringing special branch cops onto his bodyguard team, despite the understandable objections from his existing black bodyguards, who remember the past actions of these men. Mandela insists on fostering reconciliation, explaining that fear can be eradicated through forgiveness, thus taking the first step towards his vision of a rainbow nation. While met with resistance, his black bodyguards comply, agreeing to train the new recruits on the specifics of protecting Mandela, emphasizing the importance of a smile even in the most challenging situations. The new, blended team faces its first major task when tasked to secure Mandela during a rugby match between the national team, Springboks, and England. The tension surrounding the match is palpable, to the point where black South Africans root for England rather than their own national team. Undeterred, Mandela puts faith in his bodyguards and ventures onto the field to greet both teams, turning a deaf ear to the booing from certain sections of the crowd. He further extends his appreciation to the white supporters who proudly sport the new flag, and his bodyguards swiftly intervene to protect him from a potential assault by a hostile spectator. However, the Springboks suffer defeat, casting a grim shadow over their prospects in the upcoming World Cup to be hosted in South Africa. Influential sports commentator Johan publicly shames the Springboks, questioning their right to wear their national colors of green and gold. As if to add insult to injury, Mandela receives a disheartening message from his daughter cancelling her impending visit without offering any reason. The Springboks' reputation dips so low that a disadvantaged black boy rejects a donated Springboks jersey, fearing retribution if seen wearing it. Subsequently, the black-majority South African Sports Council deliberates on stripping the Springboks of their color, emblem, and name. Despite his secretary's cautionary advice about potential reputational damage, Mandela interjects the council's meeting. He passionately advocates for the Springboks, recounting his personal experiences from prison, where he made an effort to understand his white captors in order to surpass them. He emphasizes the need for unity, arguing that stripping the rugby team of its identity would only fuel the negative stereotypes that the black community has long fought against. Mandela's impassioned plea narrowly wins the vote, preserving the Springboks' identity. Unfortunately, the Springboks continue their losing streak in subsequent matches. Mandela then embarks on an international tour, spreading his unifying message across various nations like the USA, Japan, and the United Nations. Upon his return, he resumes his morning walks, which are slightly marred when a new bodyguard inquires about his family. Visibly upset, Mandela retreats to his house, leaving his black bodyguard to fill the newcomer in on Mandela's estranged relationship with his wife and children. Mandela's morning routine is interrupted by alarming headlines in the newspaper. The country's crime rate is escalating, and the Springboks coach and manager have been dismissed. At the office, Mandela receives his first paycheck, and he's taken aback by the hefty sum. He resolves to donate a third of it to charity, hopeful that his fellow politicians might follow suit. He also invites Francois for a tea meeting to discuss the Springboks' future. Francois conveys his leadership style of leading by example, which Mandela concurs with but also emphasizes the team's need for inspiration to excel. After this meeting, Francois leaves with a realization that Mandela's request is no less than winning the World Cup. Later, Mandela gets a chance to see his daughter again, but their meeting is cut short due to her anger over his hiring of the very cops who had forced her family out of their home when Mandela was incarcerated. Intrigued by rugby and its global reach, Mandela calls in a sports expert to understand more about the Rugby World Cup. Knowing the games will be viewed by billions, he devises a plan to showcase the true face of South Africa to the world. In the meantime, the Springboks are engrossed in rigorous training when they are informed about a directive to conduct coaching clinics in townships across the country. Although initially displeased, they abide by the order, given it comes from Mandela and is backed by their captain, Francois. The team's first stop is one of the poorest towns in the region, where they're greeted by children who only recognize Chester. As the day progresses, the players and the children begin to enjoy their interactions. As they wrap up, they leave behind a banner echoing Mandela's campaign slogan, "One Team, One Country." This heartening initiative garners attention on the news, and Mandela proudly shares it with his cabinet, emphasizing its symbolic power surpassing 100 speeches. Chester's popularity leads to his image being emblazoned on the plane that the Springboks use for travel, furthering the campaign. As support from the black community increases, even the initially skeptical commentator Johan refers to himself as cautiously optimistic. In a bid to show his personal support, Mandela starts learning the names of all the players to greet them personally, and even appears on Johan's show to rally support for the national team. The Springboks now conduct their morning jogs publicly, an initiative led by Francois. He also tries to persuade his team to learn and sing the national anthem correctly rather than just mouthing the words, but his appeal falls on deaf ears. The day before the World Cup's first match, Mandela pays a visit to the Springboks, wishing each player luck personally. He's informed that Chester is absent due to an injury, and Mandela leaves behind a handwritten invictus poem, a source of inspiration for him during his prison years. The following day sees Mandela among the enthusiastic spectators, reveling in the Springboks' victory over Australia. Later that evening, while the team celebrates at a bar, Mandela attends a lavish dinner party. Francois, however, reminds his team of their early morning commitment the next day. Francois guides the team along a new route the following morning, taking them to the port and onto a boat headed for Robben Island, where Mandela spent the first 18 years of his imprisonment. Francois is deeply affected by the sight of Mandela's minuscule cell, finding it remarkable that Mandela managed to forgive his captors despite his long-term confinement. In an alarming turn of events, Mandela is found unconscious outside his house during his morning walk. His doctor attributes this to stress, ruling out his attendance at the upcoming match. Nonetheless, Chester makes a return and aids the Springboks in securing a victory over Samoa. Their subsequent match against France is held amidst torrential rain, with the Springboks again emerging victorious. During this time, Mandela is abroad, engaged in trade negotiations. However, when the team qualifies for the finals, he ensures his schedule is clear to attend the match. The Springboks now face the daunting All Blacks from New Zealand in the finals, with England losing in the semi-finals. The victories have sparked nationwide support for the Springboks, aligning with Mandela's vision. This unity is mirrored in small gestures. Mandela's bodyguards have set aside their initial mistrust and now play rugby together. Even when Francois procures tickets for his family, he includes one for their black housemaid. After going through a report about the All Blacks' history, Mandela gains insight into their intimidating reputation. He is then tasked with figuring out how to motivate the Springboks in a manner as potent as the All Blacks haka. On the eve of the final match, the Springboks participate in their last run, with all the neighbors emerging to express their support. The stadium, on the day of the final, is filled to capacity with supporters of all races, including the young boy who had previously rejected the jersey. Johan, the sports commentator, is present too, speaking highly of the team that he had earlier criticized. Given the massive crowd, Mandela's bodyguards are on high alert. Their concern escalates when a plane starts to fly alarmingly low over the stadium. However, the plane only bears a good luck message from the president and departs without incident, much to the delight of the crowd. In a departure from his earlier neutrality, Mandela enters the field wearing a green jersey, showing his support for the Springboks. The match begins with the national anthem, which the Springboks, to everyone's surprise, sing perfectly. The All Blacks prove to be formidable opponents, quickly gaining a lead. But Francois adapts the team's strategy, allowing the Springboks to level the score. The regular match time ends in a draw, forcing the addition of 20 minutes of extra time. Despite exhaustion, both teams put forth their best efforts. With 5 minutes remaining, the Springboks manage to pull ahead. They then focus on defending their side, a strategy that pays off when the referee concludes the match, declaring the Springboks as the new world champions. The entire country bursts into celebration, with people of all races embracing each other in joy. It is Mandela himself who presents the massive trophy to Francois, both men expressing their gratitude for what they have accomplished for their nation. Later, Mandela's car gets caught in the traffic caused by the ongoing street celebrations. Instead of seeking a different route, Mandela tells his driver to stay, wanting to be part of this historic moment of unity. This is the end of the movie. Let me know what you think about this movie in the comments, and subscribe to the channel so as not to miss the release of new content. Thanks for watching.